KUBU 96.5 FM. You are now tuned into Verbal Radio. Our guest in the studio today, the legendary Neil Nyyar, multi-talented artist, world record holder, absolute genius. I'm honored to even be sitting here with him. Enjoy this tune by Neil called Neil Vibes. KUBU 96.5 FM. We are in the studio with the legend himself, Neil Nyyar. Neil.
Hey, how are you doing?
Man, I'm doing fantastic. I'm so happy to be here with you. I've been following your career for a while. I mean, it's just a joy to even be sitting here with you right now. So for those of you tuned in, I'm going to assume already that all of you know who Neil is. And if you don't, you're going to know after this recording. So Neil has world records because he plays more instruments probably than anybody you know. You are a master of how many?
117 different instruments.
117 different instruments.
Yeah.
And you're expert level at them.
Yep, expert level.
That's amazing. And you also do art, right? You're a painter?
Yes, painter, yes, of course.
And an author, I understand.
Author, yes. For my upcoming book called Passion to Exploration of 107 Sound Machines. And in this book, I created this book for kids, teens, and adults. And after they read this book, they will have a knowledge of all the 107 musical instruments. And if you look deeper into the book, I put little tiny animation figures of me, demonstrating the instrument, how's it being held, where's it from, what's the history behind the instrument, and so on. And right now you can pre-order my book on Amazon and Barnes & Noble.
That is amazing. And you're from Sacramento, right?
Yes, actually from Elk Grove, actually.
Well, yeah, Sacramento County.
Of course, Sacramento County.
Still representing the 916.
Yes, of course we are.
So you you've learned how you've mastered 117 different instruments. How long did that take you?
It took me around a few years to make that record. Actually, at the age of 11, when I had around 20 instruments, I said, I have all these instruments now. What should I do with it? I was thinking. Then after that, I searched on Google. Looked for someone who has played more instruments than I have. Then I found one person. I think he was a 17-year-old, a guy who can play 23 instruments, if I'm correct. Then I said, okay, if he's able to do that, can I not do it? And after that, the next year, I made my very first world record for playing 44 musical instruments at the age of 12 in 2017. And after that, I decided to break my own world record for playing 100 instruments. Then I said, how about we add 7 more? And then that's when I made my second world record for playing 107 musical instruments from around the world at the age of 13 in 2019. And currently, I can play 117.
Do you plan on learning more?
Yes. In the meantime, I'm focusing on something else, like my book. And plus, I'm releasing my very first album, which is called Breaking Barriers. And in the album, I have one track which has all 107 musical instruments recorded acoustically in one track. And I don't think no one has done that before. And that piece is a 10-minute piece with different types of genres of music. And I have another special song, which is in the album, and it's called Chasing Dreams. And this song talks about Hollywood, and it goes like this. I'm going to Hollywood. I'm going to make that move. That will be the price I pay for love. So that's the chorus of that song.
Man, you sing too.
Yes, I do. Yes.
And so for those of you listening, I discovered that Neil also has another talent. He's a beatboxer.
Yes.
Hey, my man, that is incredible.
Thank you.
So you've been doing a lot of traveling lately.
Yeah, I've been traveling. I went this year. Actually, the first time I've been to LA 3 times in a row. It started in August when I got selected for a Grammy camp. And, and this Grammy camp is a camp for, for high schoolers who are interested in pursuing their career in music. And I got selected in the category of audio engineering. And I spent the 5 days over there, exploring about audio engineering, like the consoles they use, the mics, everything, how to record. And by the way, there was a lot of stuff which I never knew before. And it was a great and fun experience. I made over 40 friends over there, with a lot of musicians. And there was a lot of talented musicians. I was shocked. I was like, wow, that's some real talent over there.
Who are some musicians that inspire you?
Let's see, starting from Mozart, Beethoven, Miles Davis, great trumpet player. Then we have Adele, Bruno Mars, Justin Timberlake, Coldplay, one of my favorite bands, Imagine Dragons, One Republic. And even I do have favorite composers, including A.R. Rahman, who composed the music for the film Slumdog Millionaire, which won an Oscar. And also one of the top composers of Hollywood, Hans Zimmer.
Oh, Hans Zimmer. Yeah. His scores for films are legendary.
Yeah. One of my favorite films which Hans Zimmer composed was Inception. That was
the Inception. Yes,
that was
the Inception. The entire soundtrack was legit. Like and it was so well done with the sequences in the film.
I know.
That's incredible. So you have a really diverse taste in music. I mean, I like that. We've got Miles Davis, Adele, Coldplay, and Beethoven. Now Mozart you have mentioned, and a little spoiler here.
Yes.
So you have a more personal connection with Mozart
Yeah.
that goes back to the beginning of your existence.
Yeah, so actually, how my music journey started when I was in the mother's womb. My dad, he was at some random library looking for a book, and he just chose one book and started reading it. And after reading the book, he read one line which got his attention. It mentioned, if you play Mozart's music to the womb, then the child will become a musician. So my dad tried an experiment by putting a tiny speaker, which was playing Mozart music, and by placing it on top of the womb. And when I was around 2 years old, my parents, they bought me a mini drum set from Toys R Us. And the funny thing was that my dad, he set up the mini drum set in front of me, and he handed me the sticks, and he said, let's see, play the drums. And I was like, what? At the time, I was so confused. I was like, am I supposed to fight with it? Am I supposed to hit it? I'm like, I had no idea. And at that time, I wasn't interested in music, And as I grew older, when I was around 6 years old, my parents, they took me to a free drum class in a music school. And after one drum lesson, my drum teacher and my parents were shocked. They were like, how did you play the drums after just one drum lesson? Did you come from a planet? From like Jupiter? I'm like, no, it just happened naturally. I was like, Jupiter? No, this never happened before. And then after that, my parents decided to give me another instrument, which was the guitar. And after learning the guitar, at that spot, I had an inspiration to learn more instruments. It's kind of like I had like an urge to explore new cultures and traditions. So then after the guitar, I went to the piano, to the flute, to the saxophone, on and on and on. And a funny thing about when I was learning the flute, when I got my first flute, the funny thing was that I had no idea how to build the flute. That was the funniest part. I was like, okay, I had to put this part here or this part here. It was so funny. Even my parents had no idea what to do with the flute. It was so confusing. Only 3 pieces. Yeah. After I had all these instruments, and as I mentioned, then I made my first world record and then my second world record, and now that's where I am.
That's history for you.
Yeah.
You're still moving forward. So
Yeah.
you're only 17.
Yes, last month I turned 17 on October 8th.
Happy belated birthday.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
That's I got to tell you, you're definitely a certified prodigy. Now, when you make music, well, let me rephrase, because I think this is a good question that I really want to know. What is music to you?
That's a good question. Music to me is about expression to me. Why? Because whenever I perform, doesn't matter, what culture it is, one thing I always make sure is that whenever I perform, I always make sure that I see the smile on the person's face. Doesn't matter what song I'm playing, I want to make sure that whenever I perform, I want to make sure that I'm bringing my expression from the instrument to the audience who are listening my music. And actually, this strange thing happened to me recently, like last month. I was performing in some event. I think it was a Russian event, and I was actually it was a Ukrainian event. Sorry, since the war was happening between Russia and the Ukraine, I was performing one song on the saxophone, which I think was a Ukrainian song, and one guy came to me, and he says, "Thank you so much for playing that song," and he says, "You don't know how," and he says, "You don't know how much it means to us, to Ukraine, and also they're looking for a performer to perform a Ukrainian song, and they found me, so they were blessed, and they were surprised that I was playing a song which is not my religion, and they were just shocked." So yeah, So that's what music means to me, you know.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Neil. I
Thank
mean,
you.
that's really, really beautiful.
Thank you.
You have something that resonates in the souls of others.
Yes.
Because I came across you, and I was like, oh, who's this? And I've just been following your career with such great interest for a while now.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, I'm a little bit of a cyber stalker, maybe. And you, I mean, you've just been doing so much, and just where you're going is astronomical, and I'm so proud. I will say on behalf of the city of Sacramento, Sacramento is proud to have a talent like yours
Thank
come
you.
from this place. And now you've recently you were on television recently, yeah?
Yes, that
Well,
is
I mean,
correct.
Yeah. Well, I will say you seem to kind of always be on television,
Yeah.
but you had a special television appearance recently, yeah?
Yes, I'll mention about that. I recently came on the Jennifer Hudson show, and let me explain how I got in that show. So, I think it was in the month of September, and I was recently filming. I was recently recording some musical piece for my upcoming music video, and on the same day, I got an email from the Jennifer Hudson show, and they sent an email through my website, and they're saying, "Hey Neil, we are the Jennifer Hudson show, and we wanted to audition you, and you want to see, you know, if you're able to fit in the show." I said, "Okay, sure." And on the same day, I had an audition on Zoom, and after audition, because after audition, it might take around weeks or months, to hear back from them, but I heard back from them in just a few hours, and I picked up the phone and they said, "Hey Neil, you're selected for the Jennifer Hudson show," and they told me that they'll take care of all of the expenses, for the gas, for the hotels and everything. Like, really? I was surprised. Then the next day I went to LA by road, 6-hour drive. It was a long drive, but it was totally worth it. Yeah. And when I reached there, the Jennifer Hudson show, in the Warner Bros. Studios, when I took my first step in the Warner Bros., I was like, now I'm stepping into the real world. And I was, because one thing I like about, Warner Bros. Is like, like seeing the behind the scenes. I love to see behind the scenes, of every like movie, any movie, like DC. One time I saw the behind the scenes of the Justice League, where they had all the green screen. That's one thing which I really love. So yeah, I saw the stages. Fun thing was that there was a lot of stages, but I don't know which stage it was. There were so many stages: stage 2, stage 5, 7. And then after we found a stage, and then we went inside, and on the top it was showing here the Jennifer Hudson artist something, and I was like, wow, that's interesting. And when I went inside, I saw this big huge sign, the Jennifer Hudson show. And then I went there. It was humongous inside the Warner Bros. Stage. Humongous. I was like, I didn't know where to go. It was like so dark. There was like less light. I was like, okay, I will go left, or right. I had no idea. So then I found a way. Then there was stairs, and then it happened. And after that, they gave me a room, to stay, where I can change my clothes, everything, And of course, they had snacks and drinks, which was very kind of them. And after that, the next hour, I went to the makeup room, and where they do all the makeup. And the funny thing was that when I was in the makeup room, I asked them like how long they have been doing makeup. They have been doing and also they said that they have been doing makeup for a long time. And one thing I didn't know that the makeup and also the hairstylist who was behind me, they are Emmy Award winning. Did you know that?
No,
Emmy
I had no
Award winning
idea.
artists. I didn't know them. I was like, what the hell?
I didn't know that they won Emmys.
Yeah, because for example, when you see a person in the foreground, we don't know who they are, but in the background, we're like, wow, they have done a lot of things. And the same thing happened to me. I came to know that one of them was 2-time Emmy Award winning artist, even a hairstylist. I was like, what the hell? I was like, wow, that is something. Yeah. And then after that, the next was the rehearsal. So and in rehearsal, we did a lot of rehearsals. We had to do like 2 rehearsals. I had to, we had to do sound check. We had to set up the instruments. Actually, I think most of the time was spent setting up the instrument because I took around 12 instruments on the stage, which was a lot. Yeah, and then after my rehearsal was done, then the producer said, hey Neil, I was thinking we should do a fun thing with Jennifer. And we were thinking like, how about we let Jennifer play one of your instruments? And I was like, really? And the producer was like, yeah. I was like, really? He said, yeah. I said, okay, let's do it. So in this case, the producer had to mimic Jennifer, for rehearsal. So like explain to the producer how it would work. And we made 2 pieces, which sounded like garbage, but it was great garbage music, you could say. It was offbeat, off key, You won't believe it. If you heard it, you will say, what the hell was going on? Anyways, yeah, that was funny. So after that, I went back to my room, and then the audio person came up, and he was miking me because since my jacket had jingles, so we were trying to find a way how to stop those jingles,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And after that, I asked him the same question. I asked him like, how long have you been doing this? He said for a long time. I asked him, have you ever mic'd famous actors? He said yes, including Dwayne Johnson. 3 times.
Yeah.
The Rock 3 times. I was like, wow. Yeah, it was like fascinating, to like see these, these people who have worked for a long time and in that industry, fascinating. Then I met another person who knew me from 2017, by the way. That was really interesting. And actually at that time, 2017, I auditioned for, I'll tell you right now, but I auditioned for Steve Harvey. Actually, I did audition for in 2017. I did get selected, but after that, everything went quiet. For some reason, I don't know why. But the guy who told me he remembered from Steve Harvey's show, so he remembers, and he told me that at that time, they were talking a lot about me, which I didn't know. I was like, wow, that's interesting. And that guy remembered me from like when I was 12 years old to now. I was like, that's amazing. Something. That's something, Yeah. So after that talk was done, it was time for me to be on the show. And I went back in the backstage. It was very huge. And in the meantime, Jennifer Hudson was interviewing Marlon Wayans over there. Actually, he was there. I saw him. He was doing interview. And when he was done, I tried to say hi to him, but he didn't wave back, because, they get always busy. But, but it was fun to see, an actor in person. I've always wanted to see an actor in person, and I got that experience. So now after that, the funny thing was that I was about to enter the stage, but the audio person said, no, wait. We will let you know when it's your turn. I said, okay, I'll wait. Because, I was excited to be on the show, I was I wanted to go on the show, And after that, Jennifer Hudson was announcing my name. Then she mentioned Neil Nyyar. Then I walked with some pop music from Bruno Mars. I think they were playing that. So I was like dancing around when I was walking on the stage. Then I hugged Jennifer Hudson, Then after that, we had the interview. And then after that interview, I was about to perform. And the crazy part when I was about to perform, the doors opened. It was like, whoosh. I was like, wow. And then there was like gas going up in the air. I was like, what the hell is going on? I was like, they did not tell me that this was going to happen. I had no idea what to do. I was like, okay, I'll just enter inside. Then I performed my piece, and the piece I performed was different. Actually, it was kind of a mix of genres, and the funny thing was that the audience enjoyed it. By the way, around like 200 people were watching me perform.
That's a
big
studio.
Big studio, I know, 200 people. Yeah. And after, and then when we went into commercial break, Jennifer Hudson was talking about me, everything. And she was saying that, okay, for next segment, can you just tell me which instrument how to perform? I was like, I told her, I'll let you know. You just have to hit the instrument. That's all. You just have to hit it. And then after that, after the commercial break was over, then we went on a second segment where Jennifer Hudson had to play my instruments. Then after that, I described every instrument, where is this from? It's from France, India, Italy, on and on and on. And the funny thing was that when I was playing the beat, Jennifer Hudson had no idea what to do. She was like, okay, which instrument? I said, this is a musical saw. You had to just hit the beat, tuck, tuck, tuck. She's like, and after that, the beat I told her, after that, she did a different beat. She was like, tuck, 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 tuck. I was like, okay, she's going to mess it up now. But anyways, she was a very fast learner, by the way. Very fast learner. She's very brilliant. She's very smart, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah. And after that, as I said, the piece became garbage again. But but it was great piece. It was a great piece, which we created. So, yeah. And after our show was done, I got to meet her 3 times. And the show, got to meet her in the next show that I also got to meet her after her show was done. I think it was at 5 p.m. We were loading out. And the funny thing was that my mom was outside packing up. Then she said, then helping my mom, she was saying, Neil, I was like, what happened? She said that Jennifer Hudson's here. Like, what the hell? Then me and my dad, we dropped all our instruments and we ran to talk to Jennifer Hudson's show, take pictures, autographs, everything, and she was in a Jeep, by the way.
In a Jeep, huh?
Yeah, Jeep Wrangler.
Oh, well, there we go. Jennifer Hudson and her Jeep Wrangler. Stay tuned to Verbal Radio. We are in the studio with Neil Nyyar. We'll be back after this commercial break. KUBU 96.5 FM, the voice of Sacramento. Verbal Radio, back in the studio with Neil Nyyar, the legend, the prodigy, the genius, and my friend. All right, Neil. So I read this interview that you did in Shout Out LA, and you just had such a great response to the question that was asked to you. And what you said was, when it comes to skill development, I leave nothing to chance. I practice my instruments every day for 6 to 8 hours. I mean, that to me is like the epitome of ethic when it comes to because it doesn't seem like you leave yourself room to not be great. I mean, so tell us about that. You practice 6 to 8 hours a day.
Yes, I practice 6 to 8 hours a day. That is correct. I might be thinking, how am I managing this time?
I'm thinking, are you just walking around the house from room to room playing an instrument? And then...
Well, actually, the thing is that I do online schooling with California Connections Academy, which is an online schooling. And I have been doing that online schooling since 1st grade, by the way. I've been doing online for my whole life.
So when the pandemic happened, and all the kids who are used to going to in-person classes had to do it online, you're like, oh, I already do this.
Yeah, I know.
I'm an expert at this already.
The same thing for me. Yeah, it's same for me. Yeah, in the pandemic. And so back to the online schooling. So the thing is that in my online schooling, I have a flexible schedule. So in this case, I can spend 50% of my time in studies and 50% time in music, in what I want to do in my life, And, if I were in a public school, you have to stay there, you have to take classes which are 1 hour long, And if I were in a public school, I wouldn't be talking in front of you about my music or anything, I wouldn't have that time,
You'd be in class right now.
Yeah, I know, that's true. But, online schooling, saved me a lot of time and, which I'm able to pursue music, and also which is my passion. So, yeah, so that's how I manage my time. And sometimes, if I get free time, I might, do a little bit of painting, do martial arts, take a walk outside.
I definitely wanted to talk to you about martial arts. Now, you have a black belt?
Yes, a black belt in Kung Fu.
In Kung Fu? Now forgive me for not being thoroughly versed on Kung Fu. Man, I grew up watching the old Shaw Brothers films, the Wuxia, where they had the different styles. So it'd be like the snake and the eagle shadow and the
Mm-hmm.
monkey style, things like that. Do you have a style of kung fu like that, or
Uh,
is it like general?
it's not general. It's different. You know, we have different forms. We have like in kung fu we have like hand forms which are related to the animals, like we have like the swan or something like, you know, like, or like the tiger. We have like those things we do. But I think my favorite part in kung fu is the weapons. Those are my favorite. You know, like doing the like those kung fu with the like daggers, with the staff, with the spear, with the broadsword. You know, that's my favorite part
Oh
of kung
man,
fu.
do you watch any kung fu movies
I
or
used
martial
to.
arts movies?
I used to watch mostly. I used to watch Bruce Lee. You know,
Bruce Lee, for
Bruce
sure.
Lee. Yeah, he's the king.
Enter the
Um,
Dragon,
yeah, or Jackie Chan.
Jackie Chan.
Jackie Chan. Yeah,
Yeah, you familiar with Donnie Yen?
I'm
So,
familiar a bit.
Donnie-
I've heard of his name
He
before.
plays Ip Man in the movie, in the Ip Man series. Ip Man was the trainer of Bruce Lee.
Oh,
One of the things about Donnie Yen is that he is exceptionally fast. Like his hands just move impossibly fast.
oh yeah. I remember I saw a scene on YouTube. I think he was doing. I think he was fighting with Mike Tyson. Right?
Yes,
And that's
yes,
I saw
yeah.
that. I was like, wow. That was like, wow. That was surprising. You know, to see Donnie Yen fighting with Mike Tyson. That was.
Yeah, right.
I know.
That's the whole thing. To
Yeah.
see, I mean, honestly, I got to give respect to anybody who fight Mike Tyson for any reason.
Yeah, actually, plus I heard recently that Mike Tyson came the first time in a South Indian film. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he came. It's called Liger. You know, like tiger.
Yeah,
it's
the,
called
the
Liger.
hybrid of the liger. The
Yeah, it's
lion
called
tiger.
Liger. Yeah, and he recently came in that movie. I was like, what? That was really interesting to see. In the trailer, he was speaking different language. Like what?
Really? Oh, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
No,
I wonder if he had that same speech thing.
I don't know.
Just-
Maybe he might have. I haven't watched it yet, but I think right now it's on Hulu. You can check it out. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, now when did you? How old were you when you got your black belt?
That is a good question. I don't know what age it was, but I think it was I got my first black belt in 2018. So that means, man, I was 12 or 13. I don't know. I think I was 13 when I got my black belt.
So, all right. I'm sorry because my brain is just melting right now. So because I'm trying to wrap my mind around just the things you've done.
Mm-hmm.
So you're 17 now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You're a master of 117 instruments.
Yes. Well, I mean, to be honest, I wouldn't call myself as a master. I was saying a student. Why? Because master, actually, the real definition of master means like, master means that we're not just masters. We're still learning. Because, people tell me I'm master, but the honest review I would say is that we are still learning. There's a lot of stuff to learn in this world. Every day I learn a new thing with my instruments, and plus with my music. Because people say that I'm like better than Beatles or Led Zeppelin, but I said no, they're better than me because those people, they have spent their entire lives in music. They have spent their entire lives. They have worked hard at that, at that age. And for me, I'm starting. I'm not there yet. I have to get there. Then all I can say, I'm master.
I love how humble you are.
Thank you so much.
I mean, I really love that.
Thank you.
I mean, for someone to have such a breadth of talent,
Mm-hmm.
and to still have the humility to have the outlook that
Mm-hmm.
it's never complete. It's always room for improvement.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
That's so great. So you're a martial artist
Mm-hmm.
who does kung fu. So I know whenever I gotta go somewhere, you're my bodyguard. So you got a black belt in kung fu. You're a writer. You're
Mm-hmm.
a painter. You have more than 100 paintings so far, right?
Yes, I got 100 paintings. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and so let me ask you this question:
Mm-hmm.
When Neil wants to relax,
Mm-hmm.
all right, when you're not training on your instruments,
Uh-huh.
when you're not doing any of your artistic, when you just want to relax and have fun,
Mm-hmm.
what do you do? What do
Well,
you enjoy doing?
one thing which I enjoy doing is watching movies. In my free time. I would sometimes actually last week I had like a 1 hour break, so I was watching the Transformers, the Dark Knight. I think sorry, it was the last night I watched, and and sometimes I might do drawing, if I want to, or take a walk outside, or sometimes I might play basketball, because actually I think I'm like 6 feet, so I would love to play basketball. I actually do play basketball.
Look, I thought you were about to say, actually, I'm about to be the team captain of the basketball team.
Yeah, yeah.
So let me ask you. This question is going to sound pretty weird, but this is just how my brain works. When you go to sleep and you dream, what do you dream about?
It depends. Sometimes I might dream about my future. I might dream, about the things I want to achieve, and also I might, sometimes when I'm dreaming, I might have music ideas, and sometimes I would always keep a recorder by my bed. For example, if I have some idea in my mind which just popped out from nowhere, I would just grab my recorder and I would just record it, from my voice. So like do like da 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 da, like record like a tune or something, And sometimes, sometimes when I dream, I always have these interesting stories, which just come from sleeping, which is interesting. Sometimes I might write about like a horror story. Sometimes I might write about like a action story. It's just like it just comes up from nowhere. It's kind of like your inner sense. It's like saying, okay, I think he's saying, okay, this brain, I think Neil should write this story. Oh, he should write this story. It's like coming naturally.
You pull inspiration out of your dreams.
Yeah.
I can relate to what you said about like well, I don't hear music in my dreams, but like as a photographer, like I'll be deep in sleep and dreaming about taking photos in different ways than I've done before, or editing them differently, and then I'll wake up and like I cannot go back to sleep, so I just go straight to the computer and just start working on it. Well, I mean, computer's like 20 feet away, so it's not like a far hike. But it's like no, I do get that, because a lot of the inspiration from my work comes from the images I see when I'm sleeping. So you draw your inspiration. It seems like not only from your dreams, but it seems like you draw your inspiration from literally existing. Like you pull inspiration from every source possible around you.
Yeah, I really love to explore, music, because there's a lot of genres in music. We have like Russian classical, pop, rock, jazz, blues, reggae, R&B, Indian, Chinese, Japanese, Bulgarian, Hungarian, Russian, Ukrainian, Arabic, African, Brazilian. It's a lot. Yeah, and also Vietnam. There's a lot of things. So, and there's still a lot of things to explore in this world.
Have you traveled the world?
Not yet, but it. My dream would be to travel around the world. That would be my biggest dream.
What are some of the places you want to go?
The places I would love to go is, like to India, because actually about India is that actually my parents are from India, but I was born in America. So I haven't explored India much, but I would really love to go to India again. I really love to explore Dubai. No doubt, be a great.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I really love to see New York City. I've always wanted to be there. There's, I think I've always wanted to see that. There's this Times Square, right? Am I correct?
Yes.
Yeah, I've always wanted to, just go there, and I've also want to, go and do the Vietnam. They have all these. Sometimes there's a video they have like these forests, and also they have these weird instruments they always create sometimes. I forgot what the name of the instrument was, but it's like a tall windpipe, and the mouthpiece is in front of it, and then you play like this, with your fingers. I was like, that's interesting instrument. So as I mentioned, a lot of things to learn in this world. A lot of new things come up every day.
Do you think do you think that it's easy? I mean, now, okay, again, I'm not a musician. I would imagine that for someone like you, like you could invent an instrument. Do you feel that that's an easy task, or?
Well, actually, that's a good question. Actually, I haven't tried that yet, but soon I'll be willing to try that. I am actually in my backyard. I have this gourd from my backyard, which is very old, and I'm thinking of creating a flute out of it. It is interesting. And actually, that's one thing which I haven't explored in music is creating instruments. So, yeah, if I get enough time,
Make a
next
new
month,
sound.
I might create new instruments. And yeah, actually, one thing I recently got this new instrument, and actually, how this works is that you just, for example, have like keyboard, right? So in this case, I connect my keyboard to a fruit. In this case, when I hit the note on the fruit, it'll create a sound. So in this case, if I load like a synth sound, like something, it will make that sound, which is interesting.
It actually works?
Yeah, it actually works.
Oh man! Well, okay. So just putting it out there right now, we're definitely gonna have to have you back so you can play that instrument for our listeners, because that sounds incredible.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Wow. So you also have a deep ability that I can tell to relate to people. I've noticed. And just in the conversations I've had with you so far, like you never really seem to put you don't value yourself above anyone else.
No.
Where does that humility come from?
Actually, I don't know how this came from me, but I feel like if you're always humble, you'll always reach to greater heights, because, if you're like not humble, because because actually one thing I got from a person, so he mentioned that if you're not patient in the music industry, you will never reach to anywhere. But if you're humble, have patience, you'll be able to reach somewhere. And from these years, I have been patient a lot. This one. Let me tell you this one story. There was one television, which is very popularly known here, and also I wanted to be in that show actually, and I started that in 2017. I sent them an email about me, what I do, everything, and also the world records. And after that, they said no, we don't want you. And after that, from that day till now, I've been sending emails, sending text messages, all those things. And then plus, I met some people on the way who were part of that show in some events. I'll try to give them my card. So, okay, here's my business card. Please share it. And they never did it. And after that, and this happened recently in 2022, I think it was in July or June, I got an email from them and I said, all right, Neil, you're in. Come on. And after that, I got into that show, and it was KCRA3, by the way. Yeah, KCRA3. Yeah. And then after I came on the Jennifer Hudson show, then KCRA3 asked me to come on the show. I said, sure, why not? So my one thing which I learned from the experience is always be humble, always be down to earth.
You're such an inspiration, man.
Thank you so much.
Right now, and I'm looking so forward to seeing the things that you do over the coming decades. I think that you have the potential to be one of those people who influences the progress of the world itself. Music definitely speaks to people. A lot of musicians talk about it at length. A lot of politicians talk about. I mean, even I have a playlist for every mood, you know? So, like, if I'm feeling sad, I got a whole playlist of depressing songs that starts with Simon and Garfunkel's Sound of Silence, right? If I want to get amped up and happy, you know, I got music for that. And so with the abilities that you have, I think that you'll be able to reach and touch a lot of people. Now, let me ask you this question. If there were a 6-year-old out there right now who is really wanting to play an instrument but doesn't feel like they have enough talent to do it, but in their heart they really want to, what would you tell them?
You know, one thing I would tell them is like to focus on your passion, achieve it, and have it. Let me say one more time. Focus it, get it, and have it. If you have those 3 things in your mind, you'll be able to achieve anything. Anything, I'm telling you. And also one thing, you know, for the kids who want to learn music. If your kids are interested in music or in learning instruments, I suggest that you take your kids to a music shop anywhere. Once again, mention or like Klein's Music, Tim's Music, Guitar Center, Skiff's Music, anything, right? Let your kids explore the instrument. You know, let them explore if they want to learn the piano, the guitar, the drums, or bass, anything, any instrument they want to learn. Let them explore, and after they find that instrument that they like, then, you know, give them. I mean, also one more thing. If you're not able to afford that instrument, you know, which is expensive, other ways are to do like rent an instrument, or you can buy a used instrument at a cheap price. And, you know, and after they have the instrument, you can take them to a music school, you know, which offers like 1 free music lesson, and, you know, let your kids, you know, take 1 free lesson there and see it. And also if they like that school, then let them keep taking lessons, and by that time their music journey will begin.
You know, you just reminded me of something, actually. I misspoke earlier before we started the show. I was saying that I didn't play any instruments. That's actually not true. I just remembered that when I was in elementary school, I ended up in music class. And so my school had a huge arsenal of weapons. My school had a huge arsenal of instruments. That's what I meant to say. And so what I wanted to play was the clarinet.
Oh.
Right? Because it looked like a simple instrument. You know, you just hold it and push the buttons. And what I said was flute. So they bring me the flute. And I'm like, I don't want this. So they handed me the recorder. You know, the plastic thing.
I know.
And they're like, no, you're going to play that. And so I learned how to play Mary Had a Little Lamb. And it's a Grand Old Flag. And I will tell you right now, to this day, Neil, if I see a recorder, like, oh man, like I don't no more, like, cause you know, I was the one kid who had like I'm in the band, and everybody else has an actual like metal instrument or wooden instrument, and I've got the plastic recorder, you know, and I don't know what I'm doing, and they're like, no, it's like I was like the mascot, you know, with my recorder. So, yeah, that's a.
But I'm telling you, at this age, there's, you know, I mean, if you when you're young, you don't have to learn music. I mean, you can learn music at any age you want. You know, I got this inspiration from this old lady, and I was performing at some Indian event, and it was for I think it was for Indian Independence Day. I think at that time it was this year, and when I came down the stage, this old lady came to me and she says, "Thank you so much for inspiring me now," because she told me that she was not able to play the harmonium, which is similar to like accordion, but it's played on the floor, sitting down. And she says that before she was not able to play the harmonium because people told her that she will not be able to play that instrument because of her age. But after she got inspired by me, she was able to learn harmonium in 1 year.
Wow.
And I was so inspired by her. I was like, I was just, it was just a shocking moment for me that she got inspired. And she learned harmonium in just 1 year. And at an old age, I think she was 70 years old, learning that instrument. It was like a big inspiration for me.
It's a beautiful thing when the youth can inspire the elders.
I know.
And the elders inspire the youth in cycle. It's such a beautiful thing.
And even you can learn an instrument at your age right now. Yeah, you can learn.
Well, I'll tell you, interestingly enough, last year I had this moment where I was like, I'm going to make music. So I went to Guitar Center and I purchased a bass guitar, like an electric bass guitar, and a drum set and keyboard. I ended up giving the drums away, but I still have the bass guitar and I still have the keyboard. I just need to actually sit there and, learn how to play them. I mean, one thing I know is like YouTube is super great to teach you how to do stuff. It's,
Yes.
I've learned how to do all kinds of things on YouTube, and some part of me does want to make music because I don't sing very well, and I don't think that I'll ever be able to. That's why I've got this silky smooth voice. But I would still. I think I'm going to learn how to play my bass guitar and my keyboard, and in a year's time, I want to be able to connect with you and say, "Hey, Neil, listen to this song I wrote," and play my instruments.
Yes. And I think you mentioned that you don't sing, but you can sing. Let me tell you why. One thing is that if you really want to sing, then you have to be dedicated. Because in my time, when I was doing singing, actually, my voice was a bit cranky. And, it was like, at the time, I didn't know how to sing. And I thought I could not sing. But after they gave me voice lessons, I was able to sing in just 1 month. So, like you,
Oh, really?
Don't tell yourself you can sing. You can sing.
I know.
Come on.
About twice a year, I get in the shower and the water's too hot, and for like 3 seconds, I sound like one of the Delphonics. But that's my own story. But thank you so much for your inspiration. Thanks for taking the time out to be on Verbal Radio. It has genuinely been a pleasure to be here, to talk to you, to pick your brain, to learn about what makes you you. Definitely go to neilnyyar.com. That's NAYYAR NEIL. Y'all figure it out. Go to neilnyyar.com where you can hear his new music. You can check out his upcoming book and his upcoming schedule. Also, you can find him on Facebook, Neil Nyyar. Thanks, Neil. Thank you for coming on to the Verbal Show. Hope to have you back one day soon. And say goodbye to our guests.
Thanks so much for having me.
It's our pleasure. Good night, everyone.